Well, welcome. Derek was so on fire with the raps on the last Dolemite episode. I gotta bring it strong. Mega64 Club. Rub a dub dub. That's I think literally the same rhyme I made last time. God, I got.
Check the tape on that. Everyone, check the tape. Make sure that was the same.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah. Murphy bed.
You have to make it vulgar, and you have to turn it into an insult somehow.
Eddie Murphy's in the clumps. I saw it and I was down in the dumps.
Nice.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
That was a little better than pretty good. Okay, so let's get the feedback going. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have? I think we have time for one more comment on the video. What do you? Oh, sorry. Yeah, we watched. This was a movie that Sean picked. You want to?
I picked, which is I would have. Hey, 3 weeks ago, I've never in a million years guessed I was going to pick this movie. But Derek picked Dolemite, and then the movie we talked about before fascinated me. It was like, what is this?
Yeah, it's so good. It became his favorite movie ever
made. No, it was just such like a what the fuck am I looking at? What is this? And then I found out they just made a movie about the making of that movie. I was like, well, we gotta watch that for Movie Club and get the behind the scenes of Dolemite. So that's what this is.
Dolemite Is My Name. It's available on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it is a critically acclaimed film. In fact, Eddie Murphy was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor.
Yeah.
For his role as Dolemite, and apparently this is the first R-rated film Eddie Murphy has made since 1999.
Oh wow. Well, and what movie?
The movie
that?
Life.
Do you know?
You guys remember the movie Life?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is that was Steve Martin in that? Or
Martin Lawrence.
Oh, Martin Lawrence. Martin, it's all the same, Martin.
The other Martin. I saw Life in theaters with my dad. We don't need to talk about that movie. It was really bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Eddie Murphy hasn't been in a good movie. I can't tell you the last movie he was in that was good, honestly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has.
And,
but oh yeah.
I would say, but he was great in this movie.
Yeah, and that's what I had heard. I've never been a big, Eddie Murphy. Nothing against him, but he does not pick things that I'm into. But I heard really good stuff about him and about this, and I was like, all right, well, let's check it out. And Sean said something to me before we watched this. Yeah, Sean, you said, you were like, I never in a million years thought I would watch something that would make me dying to go back to watch the original Dolemite. Because I didn't really retain much from that. I mean, respect. It served its purpose, but I was kind of like, I don't know. Couldn't agree more. I watched this and I'm like, I'm ready for Dolemite. I'm ready to, this movie was like uplifting in a lot of unexpected ways. And Eddie Murphy is so good in it. Really, really, really unexpected, like heartwarming kind of performance by him. Anyway, but
let's talk about Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody out there knows who Eddie Murphy is, but maybe you don't. Maybe you're not an Eddie Murphy fan. Maybe you don't know anything about Eddie Murphy. Did you know that Eddie Murphy was like a child prodigy of comedy? That Eddie Murphy auditioned to be on SNL when he was 18 years old through a phone booth. He called them up from the street and did his audition over the phone. They were so impressed. He got on the show. Yeah, he was just like an impassioned person. What?
Now, Derek, did you know I tried to get some background on this movie for Movie Club, and it was kind of hard. It's kind of harder than usual because I think it's newer and it's just for Netflix, But I watched an interview with him about this movie, and he said that he only did one audition his entire career, and it was that one in the phone booth, and everything else the roles were given to him, including this.
That's incredible. Well, yeah. So Eddie Murphy went on to become like the biggest star on SNL. He released 2 like groundbreaking comedy specials when he was 18 and 22, Raw, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But he was so young and became so rich and famous at the end of the 80s that he became one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, put out a string of hit movies, Beverly Hills Cop, later on, like the Nutty Professor and stuff. That was later.
Coming
like,
to America.
Boomerang,
Isn't that right?
Boomerang, Coming to America.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just became like, incredibly successful. And then suddenly it just all fell apart one day.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just after a string of kind of like flop movies.
Hey,
do you have some insight on this, Sean?
I don't have major insight, but I will tell you that Eddie Murphy blames it on David Spade.
What?
Because as crazy as it is, but David Spade on Saturday Night Live used to do the Hollywood Minute where he would just make fun of celebrities.
Yeah.
And then Eddie Murphy released one bomb, and then David Spade went on the next week, and there's a picture of Eddie Murphy, and then David Spade said, "Look, kid's a falling star." And then like Eddie Murphy like lost his shit on that, and then ever since then was in like shit movies.
I remember seeing that on SNL. His picture popped up. He goes, "Oh, look, everyone, a falling star, make a wish." And then they cut to the next thing immediately. And like the audience was like practically laughing over the next bit. He just moved on so quick. You know how David Spade sounds, but
crazy.
I remember that. That's
he
so
had
funny.
Films like Norbit, Dave, Pluto Nash, I think is like literally the biggest bomb of all time.
Yeah, is that still? It must. I mean, it's up there. I know that.
It's up there, yeah.
So, Dolemite Is My Name could be considered Eddie Murphy's comeback.
Yeah.
And in making this movie, he said, "I never wanted to do like a comeback. I just needed like a good movie that I was waiting for."
Yeah.
And that's what this one was.
Yeah.
So, let's get into it, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
In the 1970s Los Angeles, Rudy Ray Moore, played by Eddie Murphy, is a struggling artist working in a record store, trying to get his music on the air in the in-store radio station. At night, he moonlights as an MC for his friend Ben Taylor and Taylor's musical group at a club. He asks the owner of the club for some time to do comedy, but the owner turns him down. At the record store one day, a homeless man named Rico comes in, wandering in, begins making loud, rhyming proclamations, one of which includes the name Dolemite, the greatest pimp in the world, Dolemite. The real Rudy Ray Moore recorded a number of prominent street poets for his material. Moore gets the idea to create a stage persona telling these stories at the club he works at. Dressing in pimp attire, brandishing a cane, Moore takes the stage at the club, named as the greatest pimp Dolemite, and launches into a crudely humorous and foul-mouthed routine titled The Signifying Monkey, which I performed a little bit of on our last Dolemite episode.
Right.
It's true.
Taylor and his group join him as a backup band on stage, and the crowd goes wild. That's the opening of Dolemite Is My Name.
Yeah. And I will say, by this point in the movie, I was already so in. Like, I really turned it on, just like, hey, I watched this for 5 minutes, probably turn it off, whatever.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to fucking love it, but like, it's him like begging Snoop Dogg, who's like the DJ at the record store, like, please play my stuff. I need to get out there. Like, he just knew he was supposed to be famous. He fucking knew it, and he wouldn't let anyone tell him he couldn't be.
Yeah. And
we talked extensively about the history of Rudy Ray Moore, the man, on the Dolemite episode. So watch that at home if you want to know more about Rudy Ray Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I said on that episode, watching the original Dolemite, it gave me vibes of Mega64. I could tell it was like just people wanting to make stuff, with a real guerrilla crew, just running and gunning on the street, just like us.
Yeah. And what I really liked about his performance, Eddie Murphy's performance as Rudy Ray Moore, is he, even when things are, I don't know, he was like just really positive through all of it. He's really, you know what I mean? Like he's such a great creative force in that way, where he's like, even when he's trying to get, become a headline thing in the beginning, he's at the club, like, why didn't they put me on the marquee? He's describing an act that isn't really very good, but he's putting all his soul into it. You know what I mean? Oh, I got this act. I'm going to dance like this, and I got this thing on my head, and you're going to love. Like, he's like, and even though everyone's looking at him like, yeah.
This movie is like surprisingly wholesome.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Especially because the original Dolemite is very not wholesome at all.
Yeah,
it's
so
violent,
I didn't expect that level of like heart to it. That like in a minute we're gonna be filming a sex scene where the roof is gonna fall down, and whatever. But
yeah, the whole movie is about like just these performers that really want to create a show.
Yeah.
And just get people to watch it. And it's the struggle about just getting people to pay attention to the show they're creating.
And what I think, like, I relate to Mega64 a lot is like Eddie Murphy is like, look, I have an audience. I know I have an audience, and everyone who has the money and power is like, yeah, but no, you don't. Like, we know what the audience wants. Like,
yes.
You don't know my audience. You don't know my audience, and they want what I got to give them. And it's like, I feel the same way about our shit. It's like, we have an audience. Give us the money because we know what we're doing.
Yeah. That's a very good connection. It's really, we could step into the audience or an office with some executive, and this has happened where, you're talking about how great this thing did, or we're talking about something successful we had, and they keep pointing to PewDiePie's numbers. Well, you don't do this. And it's like, man, that's not like what we're aiming for though, dude. I love what he says in the movie about like, they're like, well, you can't make stuff for just your city block. And that's things that we've heard. You can't make stuff just for your little pool of friends. And what he says in response is brilliant. He's like, there's city blocks like mine all over the country. That's who you're not, that's who you're ignoring here. I love it. And it was so well executed in that way. But anyway.
So moving on in the story, Rudy asks his aunt for money to record a comedy album, his debut album entitled Eat Out More Often. He gets his friend Jimmy Lynch to record him in his living room in a home audience. After making several copies of the record, Moore begins to sell them out of the trunk of his car. The record proves to be very popular and obtains the attention of a record company. They agree to market it to record stores, and Moore offers to go on tour through the Deep South to promote the record. While in Mississippi, he befriends a single mother named Lady Reed and convinces her to join him as part of his tour. This happened in real life. Lady Reed, we didn't really talk about this in the Dolemite episode, but she was his protege. And you see that story in this movie. That's kind of what the real story of this movie is about. These two kind of doing it together,
Yeah.
This movie is about the come-up journey. A lot of entertainers talk about that, going from nobody to somebody, going from obscure to fame.
Right.
So that's what these two are on a journey to do together. Moore and his friends celebrate the success of their tour by taking in a movie. The front page, the majority white audience of the theater finds the film hilarious, but Moore and his friends do not. Rudy Ray Moore gets the inspiration to make a film starring himself as Dolemite. After being turned down by film executives, Rudy asks his record company for an advance on royalties from his albums to fund the movie himself. The executives agree to do it, but warn him that if he fails, he will be in debt to them for the rest of his life. Yeah, following along so far. Anything you want to say about this part of the movie?
Not really. I mean, like, we kind of have been saying it all, but
yeah.
I don't know. Like, no, go ahead, Derek. I have more to say after my call.
You know what? I'll pause here and I'll say something about this movie.
Okay.
I don't know if I like this movie as much as you guys do. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I was watching this movie and I almost felt like this movie was too wholesome.
I could see that. No, I could totally see that. Yeah.
It's one of those movies.
It doesn't show you kind of a gritty side to it. Like, what am I trying to say? I think I totally know what you're talking about. It really is like, he kind of can't, there's no moment where you think Dolemite is really going to fail here. Obviously, or Rudy Ray Moore is going to fail here. Obviously, the history that happens, the movie gets made. But, yeah, I could see that. It is very wholesome and everything kind of like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to prove it to you. And then he does. There isn't a lot of like brutal loss in this movie or anything.
Not even that. Not only that, but it's one of those movies where, for example, in this part of the film, he's touring the South doing a comedy club, and you get to see him be successful, and he'll do comedy routines, and the audience erupts in laughter. And it's one of those movies where the music swells and they're fucking laughing their ass off, and he's up there like, yeah, I did it. And I'm watching it thinking like, good for you. Yeah. But I didn't think that was uproariously funny. it's one of those wholesome movies where you watch it and the things go right, but you're like, well, I'm glad they went right, because obviously that's the part of the movie where it's supposed to go right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Derek, I see what you're saying, and to me, this is like last week we did Casino, and this is the polar opposite, where it's like I like every character, and it's all feel good, and I'm into that.
Casino is very organic. You're like, oh man, that's just like a real fight. Oh, now they're escalating it just like it would in real life.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, this one, because I said Casino was a fantasy, and this one is a fantasy too.
Yes,
and they're both based on real events.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it, but there were parts of it that were almost a little too feel good.
Yeah.
For the Dolemite movie, in my opinion.
Sure,
but
I could definitely see that.
Let's keep going though. So he wants to make a movie. Rudy Ray Moore gets in contact with the playwright Jerry Jones, who, despite the initial reluctance, agrees to write the screenplay. Moore and Taylor go to a strip club and find the character actor D'Urville Martin and offer him the role of a role in the Dolemite film. Martin is offended by their offer until Moore gives him the opportunity to direct the film himself. D'Urville Martin is played by Wesley Snipes. I really liked Wesley Snipes better than Eddie Murphy in this movie, personally.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
I would say I probably like Eddie. I just really got in. I just thought Eddie Murphy was infectious in this movie. So I still say he's probably my favorite in it. But in terms of a good performance, I might have to say Wesley Snipes has the best. I've never had anything against Wesley Snipes, but he's not someone who I leave blown away by in a movie. But he was really good in this. He was really good.
I think Wesley Snipes, is a legitimately great actor. You think of him as Blade and how he acts as Blade. His portrayal of D'Urville Martin is aloof and, kind of like a little vampiric. I shouldn't say that as a contrast to Blade. Not vampiric, but
I hear you're saying
spooky and stares into your soul.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good character performance.
Yeah.
And in fact, there is a scene in this movie where Eddie Murphy is kind of performing the Dolemite role to the mirror. And it's showing pictures of him and his father, and he's kind of standing up to, I don't know, his past or where he came from and trying to make a statement I'm getting away from it. And for me, I felt like that was the scene where Eddie Murphy could have got the Golden Globe. If he just was a little bit more something. I don't know. I felt like Eddie Murphy's performance of this was good, but he never really revealed deep, true emotion. And that was a scene where he could have done it, but he never quite hit it.
I totally
felt the Wesley Snipes performance. Yeah, Wesley Snipes as D'Urville Martin, he was hitting it. He was such a good actor.
He really was. I want to say, too, I should say one more compliment to him as a good actor. Not a good movie, but Expendables 3, Wesley Snipes is in. I like the Expendables 1, and I like 2, even though they did the Chuck Norris joke. Didn't need that, but still enjoy it. 3 was not good. However, Wesley Snipes is great in it, and when they find him, he has the best line in the whole movie. They find him, he broke out of prison, and they were like, why were you in there? And it's a close-up on him, and he goes, didn't do my taxes. And I thought that was really funny. He just owned it. That got the biggest laugh out of the audience. Didn't do my taxes. Anyway, sorry.
He's great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Rudy Ray Moore, Martin Jones, and a crew begin filming Dolemite, the kung fu-themed blaxploitation film. Moore's lack of knowledge of karate and predilection towards camp disgusts D'Urville Martin. Despite much of the cast and crew having a lot of fun making the film, D'Urville quickly abandons the crew after filming is completed, but not before belittling the others and proclaiming the film will never be seen by anyone. D'Urville's words seem to become true as no film distributor agrees to purchase the film. Rudy Ray Moore decides to return to touring, though with much less enthusiasm. In Indiana, he is asked about the film's release by a local DJ played by Chris Rock and remains non-committal about whether the film will ever be seen. The DJ recommends that they premiere it at his cousin's movie theater. Deciding to take him up on the offer, Rudy Ray Moore promotes the film single-handedly all around town, though he spends a lot of his money. He is pleased to see a massive crowd waiting outside the theater, and the audience greatly enjoys the film. I was watching this movie with my girlfriend, and she was like, man, this is so cool. He actually did that himself. And I said, oh, we did that. What? Yeah, Mega64. We literally did that for years at Comic-Con.
Yeah,
we would rent out a theater and just screen it ourselves, and it was on us to sell tickets and promote it. And the theater was like, "You pay us, and we'll give you the theater, and then the rest is yours."
Yep.
So I didn't even think about that. We did do that. Holy shit!
We did exactly that.
Oh my god!
So, I'm telling you, Dolemite and Mega64 is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Hollywood film executive Lawrence Woolner, the head of Dimension Pictures, who turned down Dolemite previously, finds out about the premiere, contacts Rudy Ray Moore with the promise of distributing the film. Rudy arrives at Dimension with his whole crew. They negotiate their deal. Bob Odenkirk plays the head of the studio.
Yeah, which, by the way, this is like the 18th movie in the last year that had surprise Bob Odenkirk at the end. I'm telling you. He shows up at the end of this movie, just a powerful executive out of nowhere. I don't know if you guys saw Little Women. The exact same thing happens. Dad comes home, and it's fucking old era period piece film Bob Odenkirk in those old timey clothes. Well, hello, and it's like, what is happening? It just keeps happening. Anyway,
he's finally getting his due. He deserves it.
Hey, no complaints here. No complaints here.
So they negotiate with Dimension Pictures, and they basically get a release deal. And there is a scene here that I thought was great, where this is something Mega64 has never done, had wide mass market release. I love that he was just recording Dolemite in this theater, Dolemite in California, Dolemite in Indiana, like all at once. And it was going to get blasted out everywhere. So Dolemite's going to premiere all over the country, and on their way to the premiere, they kind of get bummed out because they're reading bad reviews. The movie's getting slammed. They don't expect it to be a success. But then they show up, and everybody's psyched, and there's a huge crowd, and the premiere is huge. They have 3 showings that night. They're all sold out, and Eddie Murphy, Dolemite, decides to hang out with the crowd instead of watching his movie premiere, because he says, these people came for Dolemite. I'm going to give him Dolemite.
Yeah.
He pulled the Rocco at Game Days move. I'm not going home. We're going to close this bitch out.
Yeah.
And once again, the Mega64 parallels are just never ending.
That is funny, because I didn't even consider that. Because I honestly, when that aired, I was like, this is like another Mega64 thing. Because I know we've been like this before, where it's like, oh, I'm going to go say, and what I was thinking was like, during game days, sometimes like the registration line is a little long. So we'll come out like, oh, come on, let's go say hi to everyone in line. Like they're waiting to get in. Yeah. Let's go. That's what I was thinking of. But yeah, that's funny. Like, game days at Disneyland. Sometimes I'm there at like 1:30 in the morning. Like, no. Everyone leaving. I'm going to say bye to everyone.
Because they were like, oh, the final movie isn't until 2 a.m. And he's like, well, I guess we're going to hang out then.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also reminded me of our first Comic-Con panel ever, when they put us in a small room and it filled up in 2 seconds. And there was a huge crowd outside the panel, couldn't get in. So we just hung out with them for the first like 20 minutes before our panel, just like, hey, you guys can't get in, but we'll hang out with you instead.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. I forgot about that. This is just want to take an opportunity to pat ourselves on the back. Aren't we great?
We rule. Are we the best?
Us and Rudy Ray Moore just killing it with kindness.
I agree. I watched this movie and it made me want to go back and not only watch Dolemite, but watch the sequel, The Human Tornado.
Yeah.
A lot of the movie, a lot of the scenes that they recreate in this movie during, like, we're making Dolemite, and you see these scenes being filmed.
Yeah.
Like having sex and the ceiling collapses on them. That's not actually in Dolemite. It's from the sequel, Dolemite 2.
Now,
which is also known as The Human Tornado.
I read a thing from Eddie Murphy about that. And he asked, why did they do that? And he said, Rudy Ray Moore is never getting another biopic. So we just wanted to put his greatest hits in this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's fine with me.
I was seriously sitting there going, I do not remember this part in the original Dolemite.
Yeah.
Like, am I like spacing or what? Like that. So that's so funny.
Yeah. I read a different interview with somebody else who said a lot of people's favorite moments are from multiple Rudy Ray Moore films. Yeah. So They just put them all in under the Dolemite thing.
Hey,
Yeah, because they just figured, well,
that kind of stuff has always been fine with me. I just want to say, like, sometimes they do that where they make a biopic or whatever you want to call it, and they stretch things like that. That's never bothered me because to me, it's like, if I want it by the book, I'll see a documentary or I'll read about it. You know, when it's a movie like this, I don't mind. Like, do what's best for the story and what makes it a better movie. And I think that's great. So that's just me.
And I thought it was really cool. They like went to the same locations for the original Dolemite. Like that house they filmed at when the FBI comes and talks to him.
Yeah,
was the same house.
Yeah,
and actually they got the same director of photographer to be on set while they filmed that scene again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, so that guy literally made a second film finally.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I thought was funny is you get to see scenes recreated in this movie, and they are better shot and better acted in this movie and better lit in this movie than they are in the original Dolemite.
Yeah,
that is true. Yeah, but I love I thought it was so funny when they're like things that we talked about in the first Dolemite movie. It's like, why would the FBI or the police let him go when he was in jail? What happened? And then like in the movie they call attention to that like, this makes no sense. Like, oh, well, I mean, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this movie was fun. I think this movie, I like that it's a real wholesome movie about making this type of stuff that we make, which is not, for everybody.
Yeah, it's out of the norm.
That's the best way to put it.
And even though I know what you're saying, Derek, about it, maybe it's a little on the wholesome side, a little on the sugary side, but I think that, I don't know, that sometimes that might not be the right route. Honestly, I watched Bohemian Rhapsody and I felt like, guys, come on. Like it's too much of a fairy tale in my opinion. It doesn't show enough of the dark side of things. But, it didn't really bother me in this movie because, again, what they were making was so fucked up and weird that having someone who really, like, earnestly believes in it and having it be kind of a sweethearted movie, I don't know, that mixture, it worked for me. I don't know what it was, but I enjoyed it.
I felt like, I think I saw someone say this in a review, that this is the movie that the Disaster Artist wished it was. Like, Disaster Artist was okay. It wasn't that good, but it was, talk about the making of a weird, obscure movie. But this was like, oh, this is way, way better than the Disaster Artist.
I love Disaster Artist. I actually think it's better than this. But
really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go.
I didn't know you didn't like it. You didn't like it that much.
No, it was fine. It was fine. But it was but I never had a desire to see the Disaster Artist ever again, where I would watch this again.
Oh, yeah.
I think I agree with Rocco. I think I do prefer Disaster Artist to this movie. But that's not to say this movie, this movie isn't bad. It purposely makes a decision to be wholesome.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's just the decision they made.
Yeah.
Dolemite is a fucked up movie. It was probably the smartest thing they could have done to make it cute and package it this way.
Against what it is about. Yeah. And I thought it was a great choice to me. I liked it.
Yeah. Sure. So that's all I really had on it. I couldn't even honestly find the budget. I was like I usually have that info, but I couldn't even find that because it's on Netflix. So I don't know if the budget even was on this.
Yeah. I don't think they disclose any of that stuff.
No, but I really like this movie. If we want to get to Shakers, I don't know if we're there yet, but
let's do it.
I would give this 4 Shakers.
Damn.
I loved it.
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna do 3.5. I don't know if I'm quite 4, but I'm close. I'm gonna say 3.5 shakes. See, I like to do the 0.5 shakes. I know that's not necessarily popular, fair. But I think I'm doing that.
And I'm gonna say 3 out of 5 Shakers. Solid movie.
I will say, not only do I give this 4 Shakers, but this movie lets me give another half shaker to the original Dolemite, which is a crazy thought.
Wow.
But I just liked.
I could see that.
Made me appreciate it so much more.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's legal.
Oh, I'll ask Eric the actor what he said about his shaker policy, and we'll see what he says.
Retroactively add shakes or take them away. That's
okay. Fair enough.
And I want to say too, like not to go off on the Disaster Artist, but I will say that movie, why I would put that above it is just because they're both like let's make this movie that no one believes in. And I love that. Disaster Artist, what I did think it did really well is that it did focus a lot on the friendship between, you know, I do think personally it had a couple more layers than the Dolemite thing did. That's not to take away from the Dolemite movie. It's excellent. I thought both were great. But that's why I would choose that. That's just my reasoning.
I'll end with Derek. I'm so glad you recommended the first Dolemite movie.
Yeah.
I had, I'm so glad that we got into this.
Totally.
I was never prepared for it. So
totally
awesome.
You know what I was thinking the other day? I'm so happy that we have Movie Club because I love finding old shitty movies like Dolemite and as bad as they are, their influence kind of seeps into the stuff I make and make with you guys. And I feel like it's really cool that now we've all seen Dolemite. And so if I reference Dolemite, we all have that point of reference.
And,
we're Night of the Hunter. Like we're all experiencing these obscure films together. And I think that's really cool.
And I remember when we started Mega64 way back when. I mean, we were fucking kids. And I remember we had, you're young and you're impressionable. So everything you're coming to is, I just saw 2001: A Space Odyssey, so let's put that scene in and you have all these things that make an impression on you. And I remember not that long ago, we talked about like, I wish we were, young again where we were watching these things and absorbing more stuff. We're busy guys now. We're working on stuff here. We're doing stuff. Sometimes we don't have time for movies or we don't have time to watch that many shows or whatever. But this kind of gave us a context where this is a designated thing we're doing and we're absorbing all these great movies or good or not good movies. And it gives us a chance to absorb way more of them than we were before, just whenever we had a free couple hours.
Plus, a movie like Dolemite, believe it or not, is culturally significant. Now, when you listen to Nothing But a G Thing by Snoop Dogg, and he says "copping a grip like Dolemite," I never knew what that meant. I knew who Dolemite was vaguely. I didn't know he ripped the guy's guts out at the end of the movie. Now I know. We're more informed on American culture now, thanks to Dolemite.
That's great. True. No, in all honesty, I wouldn't have watched it on my own, so I couldn't be happier. It's always good to be exposed to things outside of your bubble. In all regards. So everyone at home, remember, watch something that maybe,
Can I, what's funny though? Last thing, just trivia about this movie. I was reading that Eddie Murphy is 58 years old. And he plays Rudy Ray Moore, who was 47 at the time. And Wesley Snipes is 57, and he plays Derville Martin, who was 35 at the time. So we got a 58-year-old, a 57-year-old playing a 47-year-old and a 35-year-old. Can we start putting 35-year-olds in movies to play 35-year-olds? Like, I'll be in a movie. Give the next generation a chance. Come on.
No kidding.
These old guys.
And I do want to say, before we move on and say what next week's is going to be, I wanted to say it earlier, I forgot. I did see, Derek, a lot of times you talk about like you saw a rated R thing when you were young or whatever. Like that was not the case for me. I was always like, my parents were willing to let me watch some more higher rated stuff if it was, depended on what it was about, know. They would let me watch Alien, but something with like sexual content they probably wouldn't let me watch. I saw Eddie Murphy Raw when I was probably 6 or 7.
Oh wow!
And
that's fucked up.
Because my grandma, my dad's mom, so on that side, watched me one night. Like she came over to watch me while my parents went. I don't remember where they went. And when they came back, that special was wrapping up, and that was a fiasco for years.
Let me say, guys, at home, I've never seen Eddie Murphy's Raw. But I tried to sit down to watch it when I was like 25, and I turned it off because it was so fucking raunchy.
Oh my god!
And I remember, hey, I was reading like college level shit as a little kid. And so she came over and watched that at our house, just whatever, it was on HBO. And she watched it. And when my parents came home, they're like, why are you watching this? Like with Rocco here? And I don't remember the whole conversation, but I specifically remember my parents going, Rocco's not an idiot. Like, he understands all this. Like I think she just thought like, oh, dumb kid, he doesn't know what they're talking about. And they're like, Rocco's reading like full-size books. Like he knows English. Like
it's all just like really heinous sex jokes.
Yeah,
like,
and I didn't know what any of it meant, but I mean, none of the. I mean, I had heard all those words at a very young age. Let's just say that.
Wow. Oh, it's like every word in the book and then some.
Yes.
Some you can't even print in the book.
Things that kids said at school to shock me, I was like, heard it. You know. So,
all right. Well,
anyway.
I give Dolemite Is My Name.
Yeah.
3 out of 5. Did I already say that?
Yeah. You did.
Okay,
you did.
All right. Then that's
Derek,
to say.
What is going to be next on Movie Club?
Okay, guys. Get your engines ready because we're going to be driving around. Oh. Where are we driving to? Who knows? But I know the way there will be Fast and Furious.
Oh.
Because that's what we're watching. And I've never seen Fast and Furious. I don't know if anybody here has.
No.
Guys, I have a rule, and in fact, it's such a hard and fast rule, and it's going to become a universal law. Derek Goss's universal law of films: if a movie spawns 7 or more sequels, you are required to watch the original.
Yep.
Because they're probably all just going off the strength of that original.
Yep.
There you go. Fair enough.
So we're going to watch Fast and Furious.
You have to clarify, Derek, and again, I don't know if you're familiar. These are two different. There is a movie called The Fast and the Furious. That's the first one. Then there is a movie called Fast and Furious, which is like the 7th one or something. So are we watching the first one? This is how fucked things are gotten.
You'll have to tune in next week to find out which one we watched.
Okay.
Well, I'm watching the first one, so
of course it's the original. Why would I want to watch Fast and Furious 7? Fast and Furious.
You're saying the title. Hey, you're the one saying the title. I'm making sure you don't end up watching the wrong movie. You know?
We're gonna watch the one that came before Too Fast, Too Furious.
Okay, that one.
Sounds
great.
Fair.
The prequel to Too Fast, Too Furious. Got it.
I am curious who watches the movies with us. We should find that out. I want to know if people watch along with us.
Yeah, everyone on Patreon. Do you watch it before we do it, or do you not do that? Let us know in the Patreon comments.
I would love to know. Anyways, everyone, we'll see you next time.
Also, recommend some movies you think we would enjoy.
Yeah.
Put them in the comments.
True. Cool. All right, guys.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Classic Dolemite rap to take us out. We watched Dolemite on Movie Club.
Thank you for your Patreon sub.
Rub-a-dub. Fuck!